Hello and welcome to this Heart Standard live broadcast. My name is Craig Cairns and we are here to talk about something different for once. We're definitely not rejoicing in the fact that we have changed manager, but we are rejoicing in the fact that we've got something different to talk about. I am joined as always by the Hearts Standard editor, Joe Sked. How are you, Joe?
Yeah, not too bad. I thought I'd been promoted there to just Hearts.
Just Hearts
But
editor.
no, all good, all good. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's game, and you know why? Because I'm in hospitality.
Oh, right, because you're not working at it, yeah. I'm going to be taking over the duties. Although I am probably going to have to do it from my sick bed if I get any worse, because I for my sins I was babysitting and I seem to have picked up germs from a sick child. So you'll be having fun in hospitality. I'll be left on my own for the first time, possibly sicker than I am now. Who knows? Who knows how it's going to go?
Well, I apologise for that, but at the same time, after the last, usually with Hearts games, as you probably know, is if when I go as a fan, if it's not going well, I will just go back to the pub because life is too short to stay and watch a team performing badly, and I've not been able to do that for what has been over 12 months. So at least with that, I can take solace. And if the game's not very good, I will be drinking heavily amounts of a lot of alcohol.
I joked with you during the second half, the St Mirren game, whether we should go to the pub, because I know that desire burns within you sometimes, even when you're working. But you just have to park it.
Be professional. Yeah. Unfortunately, have to be professional.
Yes, and we're gonna do our best to be professional while we talk over the latest things, everything to do with Hearts, including what the Fox says. But just before we get into that, we will do a little bit of housekeeping. As always, we are sponsored by Good Vibes Giveaways. Today's broadcast is, in fact, brought to you by Good Vibes Giveaways. Good Vibes Giveaways are proud to sponsor Heart Standard, and they offer fantastic prizes to fans of the club. Prizes change weekly. They include things like tech and gadgets, days out, weekends away, tax-free cash, and even OASIS tickets. Get your tickets now at goodvibesgiveaways.com and enter for your chance to spread the good vibes. Sunglasses.
Emojis.
Now let's get into it, Joel. You just in the last few hours attended the press conference where Liam Fox took for the first time as Hearts interim manager. He was given a few of the usual questions that you kind of get in these situations, like how long is your hat in the ring for the job, these kind of things. But what were the kind of general vibes from the press conference?
So I think it was a straight, I think probably a strange one for Fox because he worked very closely with Stephen Naismith, Frankie McAvoy, and Gordon Forrest, and that was a big thing for Stephen Naismith, was to have Fox involved. So when Fox wasn't with the B team, so if the B team were playing on a home game on a Friday night, and Hearts were playing on a Saturday, Fox would usually be at the first team game as well, and he would sit in the stands and he would look down from there and he would relay messages, etc., etc. So he understands. He understands what Naismith wanted, what he was asking of the players. Naismith wanted that alignment so that Fox was aware of that with the B team. So he worked closely with them, but at the same time, Liam Fox is a massive Hearts fan. He was a massive Hearts fan when he was younger. Had the season ticket when he was younger. So he sees this as a really almost dream moment. I think they view this. This spell as interim coach. I think he's well aware that it's going to be another manager coming in after him. But I don't think you can take that away from him to be even given what it could be. Might just be 3 games. I think there's excitement there. I think he wanted to be really respectful of Naismith and McAvoy and Forrest, like you said, because of that relationship. But I think there's an excitement there, and also he's not going to do. I think he stressed that he didn't want to do the same things that Naismith would do. He's not going to come in and start making loads of changes and trying to put like a whole new stamp or down on the team just because that's not possible. He's had less than a week to work with the players, but he will, I suspect, make changes and try to put his own spin on things, which you would expect, because you wouldn't expect them just to come in and do the same things Naismith doing, because let's look at this season for evidence. It's not worked.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, even if he did have the time, even if it had happened during an international break and he had a couple of weeks, I think it would be foolish, even as an interim manager, to go in and try and be too fancy about it. You know what I mean? And try and turn completely on its head the way that the team's been playing up until that point. And you know what I mean? Like we when we were at that latest B team game, there was every now and again, it wasn't the full game, but the fullbacks were playing inverted sometimes.
Yeah,
it's not going to be messing about with anything like that, I'd imagine. I think it's going to be sort of like he'll stick with 4 at the back. It'll be square pegs and square holes, and it'll be
yes,
you know what I mean, like defined roles, and it'll be either
back
a
to basics.
Like a simplification of what's gone before, or just a slight evolution of what's gone before. It's not going to be like wholesale changes, and it's not going to be like a completely different master plan bespoke to get the best of Ross County at home or anything like that. It'll be a fairly basic approach. And how do you, in terms of team news, we got the news today that Gerald Taylor is going to be out long term. I suppose that's one position that we can talk about. He was asked about Adam Forrester. Now I think he will maybe get a clearer idea with how the B team. Do they have a game tonight? Yeah, how the B team lines up.
Yeah.
So if he's not in that squad, or he's on the bench or something, that might be an indication that he's at least going to be involved in the matchday squad tomorrow. I would still edge towards Ogie Koke getting the. I didn't quite pronounce that properly, but I'm just going to brush over it. I would probably. I think he's looked competent enough. I think he will probably still get the nod. Again, I think it will come back to Fox not being trying to be too clever with things or anything like that. But yeah, how do you see, what kind of changes do you think he will make?
So I think, I think you're right about square pegs and square holes, and I think he will just go for like a set formation. I think he prefers 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3. So I think we can see one of those two. It's a wee bit frustrating, because I think if Pollock had been sent out on loan to Rafe,
he'd be the prime candidate. Exactly.
Yeah, maybe he would start, just because the wide men haven't delivered this season. Obviously, some of them have played more than others. Some of them have not been given a real run. Steady running the team, but when they've had that chance, he's not really taken it. The inverted fullbacks, wouldn't be surprised if I saw that. But yeah, like you said, you probably want to overcomplicate or do too much. But in terms of changes, I wouldn't be surprised to see Forrester, just because I know how much Fox rates him, and how well he's not just how well he's played at times this season, but how consistent he's been. So when I spoke to Liam Fox, it was last Friday when we were at the B team, spoke to him after, and I wanted to ask about Forrester, because you noticed it straight away, and it's something noticed a few times this season, is just how almost like it was such an unorthodox role he plays as a right back, not just inverted, but he was popping up everywhere, and he had the shot off the post. And Fox just believes he has that technical ability to play in those kind of positions. He can handle himself. He's a good technical player.
He has a physique.
Yeah. He's not got the power of Oyegoke or Taylor, but he's certainly he's rangy. And you can certainly see him putting on muscle, becoming that kind of guy.
Yeah, you'll fill out.
Callum Paterson.
Definitely.
Yeah. And he kind of talked about his maturity as well. So he's one of the older guys in the team. Fox made him captain. I think he sees him as a kind of leader, and he did say that if the opportunity didn't come, he would likely go out on loan in January. Him and Callum Sanders, just because they've played too much. They've basically completed lower league now, and they can do with a test higher up. So I would. I'd be a wee bit disappointed if Forrester didn't play. I find kind of got myself in this position where I'm really hopeful that he is going to feature. Wouldn't be surprised to see like Macaulay Tate involved, whether he's just in the squad or whatever. But I definitely think it'll be a variation of 4-3-3. And yeah, I'll predict that Forrester's going to play at right back. So yeah, there's a wee bit of excitement. Well, definitely a wee bit of excitement for the game tomorrow. As long as there's a couple of guys have put in the chat. G says Kingsley right back then, Campbell Smith.
I don't think he's not going to overcomplicate it. It's not going to. I know that's kind of tongue in cheek, that comment, but I don't think we're going to see anything like that. Sorry to talk over that other comment.
No. Yeah, because I was just going to say it's like as long as we don't really see Stephen Kingsley at right back, I think fans would be content with that.
Anywhere else on the pitch do you think we'll see some? You mentioned Macaulay Tate there. I mean, that is, I think, maybe saw Boateng's worst game.
Yeah.
In Paisley, I don't think it doesn't fit in from what we've seen from him so far this season. So it could have just been a one-off. But I don't know. I'm not sure whether he'll maybe go with Tate and Bellingham or maybe even Tate and Boateng, just to have a defensive midfielder and a deep lying playmaker in there. Because I think with the players in the squad, with the likes of Danda and Spittle, I think he's more likely. You spoke about between a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1. I think it's more likely to be a 4-2-3-1. I think it's more of a formation that you reach for when things aren't doing too well. You know what I mean? It's like the modern incarnation of 4-4-2. It's a kind of sort of back to basics formation. And it gives you that sort of solid base in front of the defence as well. So and with Danda and Spittle and the sort of limited game time that they've had in that position, I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of the things that we see tomorrow. I think it might be Danda actually, because he's one of the players that one of the new signings where you don't really know if he's going to be good yet. The others, we've kind of had a little bit of an indication here and there, at least. Danda's the one that we've kind of seen the least of. So he got the start at the beginning of the season, but then he's kind of been off the bench or subbed off and moved about, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And I could understand. I can understand Naismith when I spoke to him, and he's talked about it with regards to Danda and Spittle coming from Motherwell and Ross County, and the position's different, and you're not getting as much space, and that's just natural, just because Hearts have more of the ball and teams are a bit more protective than they would be against Motherwell and Ross County, where the play breaks down. There's more position on. There's more focus on. There's more space in the transition, etc., etc. But at the same time, neither were given the time or the kind of to work that out as a number 10. As both of them have barely played as a number 10 since joining Hearts. So yeah, both of them have sympathy for, and yeah, I'd like to see Danda as the number 10, and or given a shot at number 10 and just kind of given time to acclimatise into there. In terms of just bringing, Graham says, do we need two holding players at home to Ross County? I wouldn't. So because you said 4-2-3-1, it's 4-2-3-1 on paper, but I would only class one of them as having a holding midfielder. You'd probably look at Benny, and then you want someone inside him, whether it's, I think you'd probably looking at like Grant or Devlin, who's given more freedom or license to offer something more in attack than have. For example, I don't think we'll see Benny and Boateng as a two.
No, I don't think so either. That's why I was mentioning Tate. But I think you're right that it's probably, again, it's not going to be like, he's not going to bring in 3 B team players and start them all or anything like that. So it's probably more likely, as you say, to be like Devlin or Grant or something that's the sort of the 8 between the other two. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a number 10 in a number 10 position on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you look at, because William says, don't understand all the chat about making loads of changes and bringing guys with no minutes. I don't think saying there'll be loads of changes. I think Forrester just naturally because of Taylor, and Dan does well because you're probably a natural number 10. But other than that, it will be. Of course, it's going to be the players that we've been watching the last few weeks. I would imagine it'll be Vargas out wide.
Shankland. I mean, there's some players that can't be, and I mean this with the best will in the world, but there's some players that can't be dropped because we just don't really have any other viable options. Like Shankland. I mean, maybe we're at the stage where, not tomorrow, but maybe we've been at the stage at some point where Shankland could have done with coming off the bench one week, or you know what I mean, like there being less of a burden put on his shoulders. But there's nobody. I mean, there's nobody else you can put in to lead the line as well, even as a like off pace Shankland. So and like we're talking about, one of the things you've mentioned as well about Fox is wingers. Like, it was evident that one game that I was at, he likes to have wingers that that stretch the game. And form-wise, we don't really have that many options. I mean, Vargas isn't really a winger. I mean, I think you can play him as sort of like an inside forward or whatever it is. And I think his pace on the side can be useful, but he's not like a get the ball and beat a man and cross the ball type winger, is he? Oda's not done it. Forrest has had his moments, and Mackay again is like a sort of inconsistent winger. So, do we even have the options for Fox to play like that?
No, I probably not the way that he plays where the team play as the B team. So, for example, the B team will this season largely it's been McCluckie and Finlay Pollock, and they'll basically just stay really wide, hold the width, and the fullbacks will go inside. And it's about trying to create 1v1s down the wings and then get the ball into the box. The most natural player in the Hearts team for that, I think, probably is Yutaro Oda, but I was going to say he's wildly inconsistent, but that would be being very, very generous. I just don't think he's delivered at all this season when he's been given the chance. And it's you kind of go back to the summer recruitment, and the two probably missteps has been not the two biggest missteps are probably not bringing in someone to as a foil for Shankland, like you said, to be able to just bring him off the bench when he's struggling, so it just continues that pressure on him, and to upgrade the wide areas. So I know people have been talking about Musa, but I think it's kind of asking a lot for, because he was never bought to come in and deliver straight away.
Yeah, but maybe tomorrow with the pressure off is the time to do it. I mean, he will give you pace in the wide area, but do we even know what his natural position is? Because was he not? Did it not look like we had signed a wide player? But then was it not you that had said that the coaching staff had plans to make him an option through the centre or something?
I think it was. I think they wanted to have him as be versatile. So when he's been at Sevilla, I think he's played both through the middle and from the right. I think he's scored most of his goals from the right hand side as well. I'll need to go back and double check. So, but that's his position.
Well, could be it could be the day for him to. But I mean, I don't know. I find this. I've been tasked with doing the predicted lineup, and I'm a bit nervous about it because it is quite a difficult one. Just because like we said, if you can sort of look at the way that Liam Fox has played in the B team, but that doesn't necessarily transpose onto the Hearts squad and what you can do with the first team. So yeah, I mean. Sort of related to that, just before we kind of move on to talk about about more to do with like Ross County and how the game will pan out. What kind of style of play do you think we'll get? Do you think what you've seen in the B team will be an indication of the approach that we get from Liam Fox?
I'm not. I think tomorrow is probably less about style and more about reaction and result. I think that's, if you take away Fox, I think it's a massive game for the players. I think, for example, tomorrow, if tomorrow goes poorly, if it goes badly, if Hearts don't win, it's not. It won't be Liam Fox that's getting the stick from the Hearts crowd. It'll be the players, because they have not reacted, they've not stepped up, they've not taken on that responsibility. It's a massive game tomorrow for the players, and that's where I think you need just a reaction. I don't think even Liam Fox needs to say anything to the players tomorrow. I think they just need a natural reaction where they start quickly and get the fans on side. And then from there, if you can build confidence, then you play with a bit more freedom and a bit more style. And then you look at the result. The results to win tomorrow is massive on the back of having that reaction as you produce a result. So I think tomorrow is probably less about style and just more about kind of just substance, just something, 3 points at the end of the day and a wee bit of a reaction. I think those are the two key things.
Yeah, it's sort of like win your individual battle, that kind of thing, and
stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think Hearts will win tomorrow. I don't know if you share my optimism. I think we still have a talented squad that you can argue about, as we have done, about its deficiencies and where it maybe kind of lacks and maybe where it's a little bit bloated. But I think there's enough talent there that we won't be in trouble of relegation or anything like that. And I think that one of the reasons we'll win tomorrow is because there'll just be a relief. And I don't necessarily mean this anything personally against Stephen Naismith. I think this is quite common when teams sack their managers. I just think it's just like a sort of a temporary clean slate kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The pressure's off, that the atmosphere is going to be completely different. It's going to be much more encouraging than it was going to be if Naismith was still in charge. And I just think things like that, and then just, I don't know, whatever it is, you're just sort of like relieved from that funk that you were in, and the pressure's off. And I just think Hearts will win fairly comfortably tomorrow. I don't know if you share my optimism. I look forward to this being thrown back in my face on Sunday.
Yeah, fairly, maybe not go as confident as fairly comfortably, but yeah, I do. I think we'll win tomorrow. Finally get 3 points. Just everything. I can't really add or disagree to anything you said. Completely agree about that. Just that kind of mentality switch. It's just a weird thing in football where I think there'll be less. There's probably more scope for. There's more margin for making error and trying things, and I suppose it probably does come down to, again, it does come down to, going back to my previous point, it comes down to the players that they need to, it's them that need to show something, because my fear is that there'll be relief to an extent. There won't be as much pressure. But again, if they don't start well, I think the pressure will build quite quickly. The frustration will be certainly evident if Hearts perform poorly to begin with, or are slow starters. I think so. That's vital. So quick start, early goal, then yes, I think it will be fairly comfortable in the end. But it's on the players to provide that. If they don't, then you can see it just in our conversations with fans and what we see on social media, is that I think the fans are pretty pissed off with the players as well. It's not just Naismith. So it's a lot of responsibility for them. So I don't quite. Sorry?
There's lots of people that are angry with the board as well, and you're right. Yeah. Their fuse will be short, even though what I'm saying about the atmosphere, and you're talking about how anger won't be, there's no pressure on Liam Fox or anything like that. You're right, they will still have a short fuse with the players, or potentially short fuse with the players and the board, because there's lots of people that whenever, rightly or wrongly, whenever things go wrong, people look to the board, and there have been some noises about that during this poor start to the season. So yeah, there's plenty of people. I'm just adding to what you're saying. Like there's plenty of things to still get angry about.
Yes, But yeah, it won't be as there won't be as rushed to that anger and frustration as there would have been if Naismith was still in charge. So yeah, I agree we'll win. Not sharing you're as optimistic as you, but again, if we start positively, get an early goal, then I think it could be quite a nice afternoon.
Really feel I've set myself up. Set myself up for a fall now. Anything else? We've just got one other wee thing we're going to cover before we finish off. But is there anything else from the press conference or from tomorrow's game that you want to add before we do?
I don't think so. In terms of tomorrow's game. The only thing I would say is just Gerald Taylor, sympathy for Gerald Taylor. With it's just been described as an up and down season for him. It looks like he's going to be out for a long period. It's suspected ACL. That could be an end of season job. Hopefully not. But yeah, disappointed just because he's looked like a world beater against Celtic and Rangers, Pilsen away as well. I thought it was impressive. And then playing against, let's call them Scotland's lesser lights, he struggled, obviously scored 2 own goals. So it's been up and down, and it'd be nice to see what it would be like. It's just at the more more he's settled, and it's when everything's settled down and new manager came in. But yeah, that's a frustration. Hopefully, again, just repeat myself from earlier, hopefully opens the door for Adam Forrester. But we'll see. We'll see come tonight. I think it's 7:45. The Hearts B are playing against Celtic B. I would imagine that if he's not in the squad, then he will be in the squad tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And maybe a couple others, because even if they are part of the match day squad, then they likely won't be risked. But I also wonder whether it will maybe just be Adam Forrester and no one else, because we do have a lot of first team players who
we do.
Liam Fox could think are perfectly capable of doing a job rather than doing anything drastic like bringing in a few B team players. But as I said, even if some do come into the squad, I can't see us starting even 2, never mind 3 or anything like that. I think it'll probably be 1 at most. And if it is, it's probably going to be Forrester because of injury, or forced to an extent because of injury. So just to finish off, we're gonna speak about some of the 150th anniversary celebrations, and specifically the Maroon Mile, which I know that you covered a little bit. Joe, do you want to start off by just kind of explaining what's going on there?
Yes. So I went into the club. Was it last week just to chat to a couple of folk at the club who have been involved in the anniversary celebrations and kind of delivering different projects, and kind of spoke to them after the launch of, or the release about the Tynecastle, sort of the Heart of Midlothian sign on Tynecastle at Gorgie Road end. Because I know it got a wee bit of there's certainly a lot of opinion around it. So I was curious just to see find out a bit more about why it's been painted on, how they came to, etc., etc. So the sign, folk will be able to see it. They might see it already on social media, but they'll be able to see it
over my shoulder.
You see it, over your shoulder. So that's what they've tried to recreate, and they'll see it at the game tomorrow against Ross County. It's been talked about for a long time at the club, and the original sign. There's been loads of it's like Hearts' own conspiracy theory as to where this sign went, who did it go damage, missing, was it left under the stand?
Stick a pin in what you're saying there. I was thinking about that when I read that it's quite a weird phenomenon. This is like just apropos of nothing, but it's quite a weird phenomenon that where something is just kind of discarded like that, and just, you know what I mean? It's considered as just like dated and pushed to the side, whereas you find and display something like that now and it's golden. It's just a sort of weird phenomenon that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's it. It's, and the fact is that it's like, I just went missing or got damaged. It was described as the size of a double-decker bus. So whatever happened in the mid-90s when Tynecastle was getting redeveloped, but basically wanted to recreate that. They wanted to do it as it was back then. But as it was back then, it was a sign on top of a concrete. I think it ended up being a concrete tunnel. Hearts couldn't. They spoke to different people. They spoke to the stadium manager. They spoke to construction people, and they were going to put it on the Gorgie Road end gates. But because of the size and because of like the shape and the people that lived there, there was a few things that just didn't work out. And the only real feasible way was to paint it onto the stand. So some people like it, some people don't. I think the club accepted that was always going to be the case, that because of such a sign, people have opinions. People have opinions everything about football and Hearts, when that's great. So it wasn't going to please everyone, but they wanted to do it, and this was the best way round to do it. And it marks the end of the Maroon Mile. I think that's going to be like the kind of almost legacy project from the 150th anniversary celebrations. Because I always make the point that you come out of a Haymarket, you turn right, you're in Dalry and Gorgie, but it's not until you're really at Tynecastle that you realise there's a football club there. So it'd be nice to have the basically just something out in the open that, yes, you're on your way to Tynecastle. They've done up the War Memorial, and then there's going to be stuff put in between the War Memorial and the museum, and it is going to kind of tell the story of the community and how it's linked to the tied with the club and about the club. And then there's stuff getting done up in the museum, because I think Hearts, going back many, many years, have not been great, like we were talking about with the sign, at preserving their history, at protecting all this stuff. And that's what they wanted to do with this funding from the lottery, the National Heritage Lottery Fund. So they've wanted to preserve and bring Hearts history to the 21st century. So they're getting touchscreens in the museum. The museum's not probably big enough to showcase all the artifacts that the club have. So that with the modernisation, the digitized stuff, and the screens will allow fans to see a lot more. So yeah, that's kind of overview of what's been happening beyond like some of the events that they've held, the 150th celebrations, like the Spurs game, the Leyton Orient game, the evenings with legends, etc., etc.
So that Vista is there and will be on display tomorrow for the Ross County match. But are you saying they're going to add a couple of other bits in like coming weeks and things like that? They're going to be adding more bits to the Maroon Mile.
Yeah, so Maroon Mile, that's all. I think it's longer term. So there'll be,
right.
I think there's that'll be an ongoing project beyond this year. I think they'll be adding stuff. So I think they've got funding for it, and it's just they've been going out to workshops or having workshops, going out to the community groups and finding out what's best for each place. So that'll be a longer term project. And there's a Hearts Museum sign that's going to be added to the top of the Gorgie Road end gates, I think, as well. So, but the Vista, that's there. The scaffolding got taken down on, what day is it, Steve? Is I got taken down on, it got taken down late Wednesday or yesterday. So, yeah, so that'll be there. That'll be there tomorrow.
Excellent. Looking forward to it. I'm going to be getting down there to get a look at it before I go into, I don't know, punish myself with another 90 minutes of watching Hearts, or who knows, maybe we'll finally have a win to talk about on Sunday or Monday whenever we are back. We will give you a heads up on social media before we do, but until then, that's us for now. Please be sure to check out everything at heartstandard.co.uk. I'll try that again. Please be sure to check out everything at heartstandard.co.uk. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe. I believe that's what the kids say.
Yes, it is. That's I always forget that bit, but it's despite it being very, I was going to say cool to say, but it's not cool to say. It's just
it rolls off the tongue.
It rolls off the tongue. That's the one. That's the one.
No idea how effective it is. But yeah, thanks, guys. We'll speak to you all soon.
Bye bye. Oh, it's me to end the stream.